Stan, here we are. Oh, sorry. I better take care of that. In the man cave on Friday, sultry, late summer's afternoon. Video wise, I like to keep myself to a schedule, but the Rugby World Cup is on as of tonight, so I might just keep my schedule going, but if I don't, that's the reason why. I will be watching some of that. Just got another one of these. It's upstairs, but it's the same thing. NVA towel, soldier's towel. They vary in price, but Centre of Britain Army surplus that was. Now it's called military surplus from around the world. We're selling them for £4, £4 postage. Get yourself one. Real piece of Cold War history. And my idea was to mop up spills of certain beverages in here. But I always use an old tea towel anyway. But it's a nice thing to have. So what have I been up to? Buying loads of things. Things to come next week that I've bought. There is a military fair on locally at Scotch Corner this weekend. Sunday. I'm hopefully going to that. Depends how if I'm allowed out. What else have I been doing? So at work they have a what do you call it? A book exchange. So one guy at work, he brought a load of stuff in, and they go, Islanada Zulu War. I'm not going to flick through it, there's no point. Just show you what I've been getting. Rorke's Drift. So it's those two. I've read about Rorke's Drift, never about Islanada, and it's just on the edge of my interest regarding militaria. So these two little small books will be like bite-sized to get my head around the full thing as much as I can. This is an interesting one. And the guy had loads of books, but some of them I had versions of, and I didn't want to take every single book. So these were the three that caught my eye. You see there, I found it interesting anyway. You know, when you look in the index, it says like Lee Enfield rifles, Stens, obviously up to the more modern ones. So that'll be an interesting read. I got this for £8 from World of Books online, eBay. World of Books, I think they're alright. They've always been alright with me. Victor Davis Hanson. If you don't know who he is, Victor Davis Hanson is the Martin and Illy Anderson Senior Fellow in Classics and Military History at the Hoover Institution, Stanford University, warring author of several previous books. He lives in Selma, California. And in some of the usual sort of photographs you're going to get, but this is a mighty tome, one might say. I mean, this is running at, let's see, I wouldn't be surprised if it was 500 pages at least. A lot of reference. A lot of modern books do this, don't they? Half the back of it's taken up with, you know, references and there's quite a bit there. Notes. Oh, there you go. So 530 pages, and he came to my attention. This fellow. It was £8 second hand. It was Victor Davis Hanson. Is he's a fellow professor lecturer. He lives in the same ranch that he was brought up in, and his family had lived there for generations. They have Norwegian descent from years back in the early days of American European settlement. And he does other stuff on YouTube, which is, I suppose it is political. Not political. He makes observations about the modern world and how, you know, Western society's reached its, I suppose, zenith, if you like, that we have a good quality of life. You know, your average. Say, for example, in my line of work, a lot of fellas, even in the 1950s, 60s, 70s. There was a joke when I was an apprentice. You see, you don't see any old welders, because these fellas would get to the end of retirement, probably they smoked, maybe drank too much, but they were exposed to all sorts of fumes that would eventually kill them. They might get a few years out of retirement, and that's that. In my lifetime, my working life, I'm not going to do an ordinary life video. I'm due one, but I'm not going to do it. The health and safety is improved to a point that, yes, you're still exposed to fumes, but you're talking if you take, for example, where I work, I'm not going to name the company, but if you were a welder in my company where I work, and you had a monitor on you, compared to someone, say, from the mid-70s, early 70s, or even the 80s, they would be experienced to, if 10 out of 10 is the worst, they'll probably get 8 out of 10 in an 8-hour shift. Now I'd say probably 1 or 2, because there's all sorts of extraction, there's air apparatus that you wear. So, and people generally, I mean, it depends where you work, but in general, people tend to work less hours than they used to years ago as well. So again, that exposure limit, it's not there. So what was my point? Yeah, that we live in a better world. But he makes the point in some of his videos that I've watched on YouTube, that some of his lectures, that, you know, the Roman Empire fell, other empires have fallen, and maybe the West is coming to the end of its domination of the world. That's his point. I don't want to get into too much of a political thing. The reason I got the book is some of his historical books, this being one of them. If he has that sort of outlook, a bit more of a coming in from a different angle, I'd be interested to read what he's got to say about the Second World War, because, you know, if you're like me, that you read a lot about the subject, it's nice to see something from a different angle. And in saying that, I'm a very slow reader. I generally read on a night for half an hour, 45 minutes, not a great deal. You know, I spend a lot of time on YouTube nowadays, which it's a bad thing, but I still do read, and I do like collecting books as well. So there you go, I can have a book on my shelf for a year and not have read it. But stop talking, Stan. And there we go. I better have a drink of non-alcoholic wine. I'm only drinking because my wife's not here. She'll be home later. Then the trouble starts. Yeah, so Blitz 1944 pushed me in the direction, give me the tip off for this book, and I'm just covering my real name, which is Stan Lee. Enjoy the book, Stan. Best regards from the author, J. Melland. So yeah, he this book's I think it was £72 something and change, what does the Americans say? And this came from Norway. I generally do not buy outside the UK, but the Blitzers told me they had no dramas at all. And this is, I mean, I really sometimes balk at paying a lot of money for books, but this is going to be worth it. I'm going to say, even if it doesn't help me, which seems like a bit of a contradiction in terms, because really it already has, because if I can't get all the chicken wire, why can't I do this with me cheap Normandy camo helmet? I couldn't I? That looks like the same sort of gauge as coat hanger wire, really. So, but it's interesting, an interesting book for me. The foreword actually says, a book you'll read once and go back to many times. I mean, I have to admit, I really enjoyed the book the Blitz Boys sent me, the Osprey book on helmets. So this is, you know, I'm never going to become an expert in this, but you learn as time goes on, don't you? Looking at certain things, and just to see the different helmet designs, decals. Yeah, I mean that is a good top tip from the boys at Blitz, and unbelievably, I put it on the kitchen worktop. Right, my fault. And my wife came home from work, made herself a cup of tea, and I said, "Do not put that on there." She said, "Why? It's only a book." I said, "That costs £72, she says. I shouldn't have impersonated her voice there, but she has a habit of doing that. If she brings me a cup of tea, and I shouldn't be grateful for her bringing me a cup of tea, if I've got a book next to me, she'll put it on the book. And the amount of time she's done it to books that don't want a coffee ring on them. Stop complaining, Stan. She puts up with me and all my crap. Right, what else have we been buying? We have bought, where is it? Here it is. Now, I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it Daimon? Daimon. Now, in my displays, on my World War II inverted commas German display, I've got an NVA signal torch, which has similar to the World War II ones, in the respect of, like, if you had a blindfold on, you gallop past on a horse, you'd think it was similar. They're not really, but it'll do, and it works. I've got another one in the cabinet. I've got a British one. And I saw this for sale for 15 quid, and I made them an offer, and they said, yeah. Now, I don't, I'm not saying I don't know anything about signal torches, but I'm not well versed, that makes sense. And I'm aware that the Daimon Telcon was the one that the forces used, the Wehrmacht, or the army here, and they had like a shield on there. But I've seen other versions of it. The Daimon Spotter, I can't find anything about it, but it is in the same black colour as the original, as the World War II, military versions. I think these were made in Czechoslovakia. You can see the coat of arms there. Spotter, that's probably the only thing it's making me think it might not be post-war. Don't know. I really do with some help on this one. Would it be military if it's got this big bullseye? It looks a bit fragile to me. It's already been chipped there. Unsure, but it will stand in for. I'm quite happy. I'd rather have that there than the NVA one. Obviously, the issue is that needs retwisting back in shape. I can do that. So there's original leather impressed between those rivets, and this is a catch here. Now, what I could do, I'll get me British one out. Hold your horses. I've got a couple of ideas that I may or may not do with it. So here's me British one, which is a direct copy of the German one from World War II, apparently. So you can see that, and this came with leather, and that's how it should be connected there. But it's snapped. So I was even thinking of getting this leather off there and slitting a little button slit in, but I thought, no, I'll leave the British one as it is. That's that part of that history. If I can find a piece of leather, I could just clamp it in there and then hang this on the mannequin, or better still, if I get a full length piece of leather, I can make it up, age it with a bit of mink oil, and just maybe back it against the plate. I'm going to take the rivets out, find drill holes, and then just stitch it into the leather. But I even went to a haberdashery type place, and they didn't have any like scrap bits of leather. They only had like elbow patches. You know, the geography teacher used to wear great big things, which I might have had enough length, but they were like £10 nearly as much as a torch. Can't believe this. I'm filming this video now. You probably can't hear it, but I've had a wasp invasion. I had to start again. Then my neighbour, none of my business, had a phone call. She sat on her own patio, but you can hear her, so I had to stop the video there because it was like ruining my train of thought. Well, now the bloke 2 doors down was playing with his air rifle. It's fair enough, but like it's just ping, ping, ping in my ear all the time. I should put up a big flag. Steel Helmet Stan is videoing, so please do not enjoy your life. I'm only joking. I'm a rude bugger, aren't I? Right, so, big moment. Does it work? It did. Hey, way, haha, Stan or Stan. So, it has the filter, red. It actually looks a lot better on camera. It does look nice, that bulb in there. Red, green. That's coming up in blue on the camera, but it's a green. That is a nice bit of kit, that. The lenses are really dirty, and I don't know how to clean them. So I'll turn it off, and then I think you flick that switch and you go halt. No, it's not working now. There you go. Yeah, so that's that's not a bad. That's not a bad little thing, is it? I mean, that's for 15 quid. It just runs on one of these. It probably needs packing out with a bit of cardboard on the bottom. One of those. Now the cats are crying. Oh, I have to wrap this video up, and I've been talking nearly 14 minutes. There's a little bit of cardboard to pack it up. So there's my book haul and me Daimon World War II in inverted commas signal torch. Plenty more things to come over the next few weeks. I will have to probably rein me spending in a bit. I've been going mad. No reason to. Just can't stop yourself, can you? Especially eBay. It's dangerous. There's a new thing on eBay now, and I really can't find out how to get off it. It's to do with your PayPal, and it pays automatically. So, like, phew, you put in for a bid or something, or I bought a pair of binoculars the other day, which are coming, and they've been inscribed with a message. They were only cheap, but the World War I German officers' binoculars, and I don't know. I might have scored. I might not have done. I'll put them up there. But literally, I paid automatically, and I can't get rid of it. I don't know how that. I never signed up for that. So stop talking. That is 15 minutes to me. I can't have string a video out talking rubbish, can I? So anyway, this is Stan. That's me torch, and that was me books. And I will, of course, see you